Hello and welcome to another exciting episode of the Jim Stroud Podcast. Today we have a very special guest. Special guest, tell us, who are you and what do you do?
Hey Jim, pleasure to be here. Victor Cho. I'm a tech executive, CEO, founder, but I like to think of myself as the tech bro, because
Okay.
technologists have a bad rap in today's world, and there are people like myself that I think try to be citizens in the world, given what we do. So.
All right. Tell me a little bit about your company.
Yeah, so I've run a bunch of different businesses. Some hopefully that your audience has used. Was CEO of Ophoto, one of the early photo sharing sites. Was purchased by Kodak. It's called
Okay.
Kodak Gallery. I was CEO at Evite, the large online invitation network. So I've been in the internet and online space actually since the beginning, since the early '90s. The current company I'm running is called Emovid, Emovid, and we are out to actually in this vein of being a citizen in this crazy world of AI. There are so many companies out there that are using this technology to, yeah, bring efficiency, but at the expense of people, right? These are really people replacement technologies as opposed to people amplification or people augmentation. And so we saw a clear need, which is, look, the world is going to get crazy with AI because communication, you're not going to know what's real versus not. It's already starting to happen.
Yeah.
So our company has solved that problem. We have built the really the only verified human communication platform that works not real time, asynchronously. So of course, yeah, we're live, right? I know that's you. You know that's me. But everything else, yeah, all the email, the 10 billion emails that are sent every couple of hours, the all of the texts, like all of the async stuff is a huge question mark. So we've
Sure.
we've solved that
Sure.
problem for the world.
Interesting. Interesting. I know we talked earlier about all these different trends in technology around emotions and AI.
Yeah.
And we went down a rabbit hole, which I think we'll go down, we'll go down another rabbit hole in this one. Um, I just prior to us getting together here, I read this article. I think it was on SHRM, Society of Human Resource Management website. They were talking about this guy who was like an emotional advisor for founders in the Bay Area. Like he would talk to them about why it's important to be how to have a why it's important to have a high emotional intelligence quotient or something
Yeah.
like that. Have you heard about that going on a lot?
I have not, but what strikes me, a couple of things. I'm like, the fact that we need to train our executives on having EQ is a crazy thought in and of itself. It's like, let me
Yeah,
tell you how to be a decent human being in what you do, and realize that people have emotions and lives, and their lives are not yours. You need empathy. No, no. So I applaud it. Just the fact that it's needed is kind of scary.
yeah, truly it is. I see a lot of training for AI, but I don't see a lot of training in how to be more human, for lack of a better word, how to be more
Yeah.
interpersonal. It seems like there would be a big, seem like there's a big need. That's a business opportunity somebody's missing out on. And I
Yeah.
don't know how you would teach them that, but it seems like there's something that people could be doing now.
No, it's funny. One of the people always ask me, like, if I had to degrade my CEO philosophy down to a couple of principles. There's like a gazillion ways to answer it, but one of my favorite answers to it is, because I see it as such a gap in so many leaders, is, look, as a CEO, you have to have the utmost empathy and transparency. And then those are both in that EQ spectrum, right? From my perspective, right? You need to over communicate and really bring people along. But more importantly, like I see so many non-empathetic leaders. I don't know what's wrong with their wiring, but they're like, oh no, it's fine. They'll lose their job. They'll go find something else. I'm like, do you understand what it's like if you're a single household, right?
Sure.
Breadwinner, right? For a family and how long that might take and how much stress that creates. It's like you might be fine as a CEO and founder because you've got like a nice cushion and you can go for years, right? But I'm like you can't be cavalier with these people's lives. It's this lack of empathy that people seem to lose, which really bothers me as a as a gap, a big leadership gap.
Yeah. I think at the very least, you shouldn't lay people off by text message. That seems so
Oh my God.
impersonal. It seems so wrong to me.
Yes.
It seems so
Yes.
wrong to me. I remember when I worked for this telecom company many years ago, and when they were laying off whole call centers or whatever, they would call everybody together into a meeting and say, "Hey, this is the facts of life. Sorry."
Yeah.
And while they're talking to them, other people will be at their desk packing up their cubicles for them.
Yeah.
And by the time they left the meeting, their stuff was boxed up on their desk and they were told to
Yeah.
pick it up and security will escort you out the building. I thought that was impersonal
Oh my
until they
God. Yeah.
started texting people, laying people off by text.
Yeah.
It's hard to be more impersonal than that, I think.
Yeah. No, this bugs, that one bugs me on so many levels. I've always treated, and I've had to lay off, we've had to downsize companies that I've run
Sure.
by, depending on the situation, 50, 60% sometimes. We have never done that. We have always, one, given that message in person because how else can you give that? Because yeah, the leadership team, the group that is responsible for shepherding the company, like to hide behind a text, like it is ultimately their responsibility. My message has always been like, look, whatever action we're taking as a company, it's on ultimately on my shoulders as the CEO, but right on this leadership team. Like we are the ones that have got the company into this position. We should take accountability for it and stand up there and show you that we care. And then two, let's treat you like decent human beings, right? Like why I don't know why everyone is so fearful that people are going to suddenly run around and burn the house down. It's because they're not treating them with respect. If you treat them with the respect that you deserve, that they deserve, sorry, people will do the right thing. So a lot of times in layoffs, we've said like, hey, we'll give you system access. Like you guys need to go find jobs, and you might not have computers. So like, yeah, you can keep your computers, right? Yeah, we'll shut you off from sensitive workflows, of course, right? But like, let us help you, not just kick you out. I mean, it's kind of funny. It's like I always like the family metaphor. Like imagine you were a family with some children and you didn't make enough money to feed the kids and you were like, okay, now what would you do? Would you like leave them on the doorstep, take all their stuff because you're afraid they're going to revolt? It's like, no, you would shepherd them out with kindness and with empathy. It's crazy to me that we treat our employees that way.
What do you think of the argument that to really be a good leader, and I know some people stand by this, said you have to be more of a shark and really decisive, or you can't really consider everybody's feelings at a certain level because you have to be a shark to be successful. What would you say to something like that?
Uh, I think there absolutely is a leadership style that can drive significant shareholder value where you do not care about your employees and treat them as a expendable resource. And I would put that in that bucket. Um, I think there absolutely is a leadership style that is stakeholder balanced, where you are treating your employees equal to your customers, equal to your shareholders. You're treating them all equal to society. I have this thing called fourth stakeholder, which maybe we can talk about, but your societal responsibility. But yeah, you're responsible to all of them and you treat them all with equal respect. Those leaders also can build amazing businesses. I would argue they can build more resilient businesses because that is a better structure. That is a better system to build in the world, right? To build something that is I call it a business citizen in the world versus a mercenary, right? You can build a mercenary
Mm,
company for sure. And just like, mercenaries in the world could make good money. But is that what we want our business leaders to do? I would argue not.
yeah, I think it's sort of works against them in a way because you
Yeah.
have Glassdoor, where people can leave negative
Yep.
reviews about an employer, and that's going to hurt them from recruiting more people in the future
Yeah.
if they treat the people really badly.
Yeah.
Yeah.
I agree. I agree.
I've seen some new technology recently that I thought was really interesting, and it sort of made me think, okay, because you can do it doesn't mean that you should do it. Facial recognition in the workplace,
Hmm.
right? So imagine this scenario, and I don't want to mention any companies and get in trouble, but imagine you're a retailer, right? And you have cameras, of course, everywhere to prevent theft. But these cameras are also monitoring facial expressions and other nonverbal cues to sort of monitor the workers' moods and professionalism. And so they're being graded on how they're acting and looking by AI. And at the same time, you have cameras looking at the faces of customers. And if a customer looks distressed or anxious or angry or something, then the AI will send a message to the worker's earpiece saying, "Hey, this guy looks like he's getting ticked off. Offer him 5% off or something to quell the situation." It made me think, okay, on one hand, I can see how that can be efficient and how that
Hmm.
can boost sales and that kind of thing. But on the other hand, it feels kind of evasive, kind of icky a little bit because they're
Yes.
monitoring everything you do. How
Yes.
do you feel about that?
No, the not to take it to a dark place, but the Nazis understood the power of ubiquitous surveillance
Huh,
uh, and the negative power that it has, like the control power it has. And my first thought is when you put anybody, customers, employees, under a perpetual surveillance umbrella, that is one of the most stressful environments you can possibly put them in, right? It is
sure.
the complete world of like, I do not trust you, right? Everything is being watched. Like if you think of cortisol in the brain, like that's a cortisol increasing environment. That is not a good employee environment by any means. No, my first thought when I hear that is, who's got the best algorithm for figuring out whether a person is happy or sad better than any AI? It's another human being that you train to say, oh, let me go find the unhappy employees in my store and go treat them with respect, right? So you can solve that problem very simply with the right training and the right people and the right hiring, right? It's a great example of, you don't necessarily need these tools to replace what human beings can actually do even better, right? Because humans would be much better at it. You just got to take the time to put those processes in. Now there are places where I think surveillance, can be useful. You know, airports is a great, I'm
Sure.
glad that airports are screening, right? To try to figure out
Hmm.
are there dangerous players, right? Or kind of unknown people coming in. But yeah, I'm not a huge fan of that in the retail environment. There may be some exceptions to that I haven't thought of, but in general, no, I think
Yeah, I
let's
thought it
train
was kind
people.
of
Let's train people to help other people.
yeah, yeah. I thought it was kind of I had a kind of weird feeling. Look at it, like okay, it's efficient, but
Yeah.
I don't know. And then I saw this other technology, which made me think, okay, I can sort of see this. It was technology that, again, it was scanning your face and everything, but it was for people who were driving a train. So, and it was meant to detect if you were sleepy,
Yeah.
or getting
Yeah.
tired. And then if you start, your eyes start, your head drifts and your eyes
Yeah.
blink, this little alarm goes off like beep, 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 like wake
Yeah,
up,
I
don't you
like
look
that.
off.
I like that use case actually. I think that's a good one, right? Because it's helping you, it's assisting you. I think of
Yeah.
this. Is it augmenting your ability? Yeah, it's actually. I've had one of my cars has that. It's not exactly that, but it's like, oh, your eyes seem to be off the road. Like, what are you doing? Like, pay attention to
Yeah.
the road. I find that super useful.
Yeah. You're drifting into another lane. I almost would prefer they use all this technology for autonomous vehicles and just augment the car so the driver could do better. I know they have
Yeah,
like technology that can predict a crash or something or stuff like that. But I just always want a human being behind the wheel. I never fully trust
yeah,
a total robot car. I just don't.
yeah. Oh no, I think we share that view. I've talked a lot about this, where this is actually a great example of where technology and kind of capital allocation can miss the mark on the right outcome. So it's funny. I think there's like hundreds of billions of dollars that are spent to put self-driving technology, and they're
Sure.
amazing. I don't know if you've driven in a way or been driven in a way. It is amazing technology for sure. But what bothers me about the industry at large is it runs under this claim of like, look, robots are better and safer. So if we can get everyone in the world on these robotic devices, right, we will save, a couple of million accidents and a couple of 100,000 lives. And that is one of the big rationales that they put in.
Yeah.
Now, the counterpoint to that, from my perspective, is yeah, exactly to your point. There is a whole bunch of safety technology that's not going to cost that much that would save way more lives in the short term. So if our societal view is let's reduce accidents, the right answer is not let's go put all that money into self-driving today. It's like let's go put these accident sensors on cars they're not ubiquitous, right? Let's put auto braking in. Like let's that today could have saved, exponentially more lives. And let's build towards self-driving for sure, right? But if you look at where the capital markets, right, all that money goes into the extreme, and we're left with still dangerous driving in the short term. So
Yeah.
it's a great example of kind of short versus long. The other one for me that bugs me is like, what are we gonna do? Like, what are people really gonna do when they free up their time in their cars? Like, are they there are other rationales like, oh, it's such a drag to have to drive. I'm like, driving's kind of a good task. Like, where else do you have to scan the road and be awake and be coherent and make decisions and use your body, your mind, your hands, your feet? It's actually a great stimulation, right, for your mental processes. And it's like, oh, or I can sit there and play Candy Crush. It's like, is that a good societal trade-off? And they're like, yeah, I don't know.
It's funny you said it because I'm thinking about a report I read about airplane pilots, and I try not to think about it when I'm on a flight, but they tested these pilots to see how much of their skills they would retain the more they automated the flight process.
Ooh,
So
interesting.
yeah, so like now, we get on the plane, the takeoff is pretty much automated, and the landing is pretty much automated, and the pilot is there just basically to make sure nothing goes wrong,
Yeah.
right? But when I read the report, I'm thinking, okay, so if the flight is, say 50% automated, and then a fuse breaks, and they don't know how to do it because they've been using automation for so long, we're all in bad. If somebody's going to have a really bad day, a lot of people are going to have a really bad
Hmm.
day. So that's another argument in support of what you said about if we let things get too automated, our brains are going to atrophy, I think, and
Hmm.
we're going to just forget how to do stuff. And if we forget how to do it, who's going to fix it?
Yeah.
You know?
Yeah. I think my wife thinks I'm crazy, but I have stopped using Google Maps or Waze to navigate point by
Oh,
point
wow.
direction.
Okay.
I mean, I grew up in a world where, before smartphones, right, where you had maps, right, and you would
Yeah.
actually
Mm-hmm.
memorize the map and you'd understand spatially where you were. And so now what I do, even if I'm in a new area, right, I'll use Waze or Google Maps to map the paths because I do like it's super valuable. Like, what's the least traffic path?
Mm-hmm.
Awesome. But then I'll force myself to memorize the route. It just takes an extra couple minutes to really think about it, right?
Wow.
And I will tell you, Jim, the I didn't think this was going to be as drastic. The experience of driving when you have to pay attention, where you're thinking about what's the mental map, what's the next street, am I missing the street? Like you pay like 5 times more attention
Mm.
versus when you've got this thing that's just saying, "Well, go straight, go straight." You're going to take. I'm going to tell you when to take a right. It is so much more fun, at least for me, right? As an activity, right? It's like a huge video game. So I recommend maybe people aren't going to be as crazy as me and do that all the time, but I recommend like try it,
That
right?
is
You'll be
interesting. I may
surprised.
try that. I may try that one day
Yeah.
because I way back in the day I used to work for a moving company, and we used to find different customers' houses. We had these big map books. They were like 14 inches high and 8 inches thick, and we would open up the map book and try to find out what someone's address is, and then we would have to map out how to get there. And so, yeah, I totally get that.
Yeah.
I'm grateful for GPS though, but I do
Yeah.
remember when we had to look through different
Yeah.
map books to get where you had to go.
Yeah. But no, I guess it's funny that in my current startup, this theme is pervasive and this idea of like, are we being conscious as human beings over where we're going to give up our agency to these technologies versus where we're going to maintain and bolster skills. And so I'll give you a tactical example. So the platform that we built it's an async communication, right? With
Hmm.
trust. It's basically think of like the Zoom, but it works asynchronously. And so one of the great use cases for that is like if you need to give a like high emotion, high impact message to somebody, like you've got to record it and send it. You actually have to be a human being and
Hmm.
speak and be emotive. And you think now of all these AI tools, and you're starting to see it. Like you get these wonderful emails of sentiment, and you're like, oh, that was a nice AI written communication that you didn't write, right? And that does not help in terms of trust building, right? So, our premise is no, for those critical moments, like do not give up your voice to an AI. Yeah, maybe AI can help you, right, with some things to say, just like GPS can help guide you, but like force yourself to stay it and to express it, because if you stop doing that, you're gonna forget how to be an empathetic human being, right?
You know,
Uh,
it's funny you
yeah.
said it. I think we had this conversation earlier too. There is a dating app called Bumble.
Like,
You
no,
already know where I'm going with
yes.
this. Bumble is in the process of adapting its technology. to the point where you set up an AI version of yourself, your personality, your likes and dislikes, and then it goes out on the system and it talks to other AI avatars. And so if your AI avatar has a good conversation with somebody else's AI avatar, then the system says, okay, your AI avatars are connecting. It may be good for you two to actually talk to each other in real
Yeah.
life, and then they connect you. And I see how that can be efficient,
Yeah.
but it also seems weird to me.
Yeah, no, it's funny, right? If you went to the young generation and said, "Hey guys, do you want us to reinstill the old, Eastern method of our parents are going to hook you up to the person you marry?" And they'd be like, "What, are you crazy?" And yet they're like, "Oh, well, no, I'll trust my AI to do that screening for me." I'm like, "What?" To your point, there may be some efficiencies that can be gained, but there's so much of the human experience that is, it's like the randomness of the surprise moment that you lose
Yeah.
in that, right?
Hmm.
Like how many people today, like if you think about like who people married and who they got together with, like how many would have been filtered out if they had been running that through some kind of AI because it doesn't exactly fit the profile. I bet there's a ton. I don't know what the percentage is, but I would argue it's probably, I don't know, 50s, 50, I'd say at least 50%, maybe
Yeah,
more, right? Maybe more. And so, yeah, no, just go live, be a human being. Like go interact with some people. Like that's how you're going to learn.
for sure. And
Yeah.
I really see this happening too in recruiting world quite a bit, because the hiring manager will say, I want somebody with exactly 4 years experience with this and 6 years of that, and they have this skill set and this skill set. And I think what some hiring managers do is they think they're building the perfect candidate instead of
Yeah.
um, exploring the possibilities with somebody who may not have three-quarters of it, but they have enough of something else that makes up
Yeah.
for what the manager doesn't have. And just like dating, same thing in recruiting. Yeah,
Yeah.
um, yeah. I've seen it where hiring manager may be really rigid on what they want, and then you put a candidate in front of them, and that candidate is able to convince the hiring manager, you say you want that, but let me tell you, you really want this, and I can deliver that. And they're really good at selling. I can see that happening with dating. And so when I hear about an AI dating on behalf of somebody else, it's so many different opportunities that I think will be
Yeah.
missed because you're being overly rigid
Yes,
on
that's
some
right.
requirements.
That's exactly right. Yeah, I've got this great hiring methodology that I love, which is I call it not making the list of all the characteristics because that's the purple squirrel, right? You
Okay.
come up with it's like these here's 20 things, like these very specific skills that they may or may not have, and you weed out based on that. And I completely agree, right? You will miss diamonds in the rough. So I've always been a proponent of picking three, like for a given role that you're bringing in, like pick the three things that they need to achieve for you and assess on those, right? So for instance, if
Mm,
I was hiring a new head of product for a business, actually I used this when I was running Evite and I had to hire a new chief product officer, right? Kind of skill number one was like, can you scale a large scale consumer social network or
mm,
not? Right
okay.
now, that didn't talk about any underlying technology. It was just like, do I have, because that's what you're here to do, right? You're going to help take
Mm,
us from 100 million to more, and right in terms of scale. Like, do I have confidence that you know how to do that? And then our interview process, we would rotate through an entire day of interviews, and everybody would rank people on those three skills. It's like, do we think this person has those skills or not? And we would not require all three. We'd say, look, 2 out of 3 is good. If we can get someone who can nail 2 of these 3, we will give them the benefit of the doubt that they can ramp up on the third. Of course, if you got 3 out of 3, it was a home run. So those were kind of like the critical skills for the job. And then we had 3 must-have capabilities that everybody had to get all of them. They were things like, are you going to fit culturally right with the team? Right? Do you have critical thinking? Can you communicate? Um, but yeah, it was basically 6 things.
mm.
3 that would vary by job, 3 that would be persistent across the whole company. And I love that framework. I still use that.
Nice. Okay. I'm thinking now about the Consumer Expo something, CES. I forget what it stands for, but it's the Consumer
Yeah.
Expo something. And that's where they show off all the new technology, the new iPhones, the new
Yeah.
gadgets, and everybody has to have one day. And so in January of this year, one of the hottest gadgets, my word, not theirs, was something called an emotional AI pet. It was like a little squishy toy, and it would coo, and it would like a virtual pet, like it sort of remind me of the virtual pets they used to have back in the 90s on your
Oh, like
computer.
the
And
Tamagotchi or the
yeah, exactly,
yeah.
exactly. And people were going crazy for these things, right? And when I looked at that, I wondered, okay, could this be the next level of the emotional support animal,
Hmm.
right? Could this be employee benefit that a company gives to their workers, saying, "Hey, you can't bring your dog to work, or you can't bring your chimpanzee to work, whatever. No judgment with
Yeah.
you, but we'll give you this little Tamagotchi doll that you can go with that can go with you everywhere." And I thought it was interesting. Do you think that would be a good employee benefit, or do you think that's just kind of crazy?
My first thought on it is as an employee benefit, I'm not a huge fan, but as a technology, I think I might be a fan. So the way I think about it is
Mm,
like at our core being, right? We are social creatures, right? It's the reason that we've succeeded as a species, right? Our ability to come together in communities
mm,
and groups. And so we have deep wiring to the point of like life or death. Like if you're socially connected to others, you will literally live longer, right? If you're socially disconnected, like your lifespan will lower, your health will be lower. So this is actually maybe one of the biggest tensions I see in the current world, right? As technology comes in, there are lots of replacements for human connection. And so going back to your question, what I do see is in that mosh pit of humans and technology, there is going to be a tail end that is left behind where they are increasingly isolated and aren't able to function. And technologies that can maybe help mitigate that, I think, are generally positive because the alternative is they are literally left out in a void, right? And that's not good. But my comment for an employer is if you're employing people, I think your first order should be how do we get those people together, right?
hmm
Don't do the stopgap. Like spend energy in community building and getting them together and hosting events and right and building those connections is my first orders. Like
I
where you
like
have the
that.
people, bring them together.
I like that because
Yeah.
maybe that's the answer that from the question earlier. How do you get people to be more human? I guess spend more time with human beings.
Yes. Yes. It seems so simple. It seems so simple. And here's where technology is so bad because it's like it's messy, right? Yes, it's
Mm,
uncomfortable. Like we're all unique in a weird way, right? Where everyone's got their own unique supercomputer here, right? Trained on 10, 20, 30, 40, 50, 50, 55 years for me, right? Of absorbing the world. So we're all like these amazing nodes of biological technology. And it's messy, right? It's
hmm
not going to be obsequious like your LLM, but that's part of the beauty of being human. And we are literally programmed to find that enjoyable, right? Those connections and that messiness, right? We're built to deal with it.
Nice, nice. So I guess one takeaway I'm thinking too from what you said is being more connected to people. Maybe that's could mean more team meetings or a team with team building events, or maybe that could mean volunteering um, to the community in some way. Yeah,
Yep. I love both of those. Yeah. Giving them dollars and days off to go build communities out. So yeah, it could be with the team, could be outside the team.
yeah,
When I've had larger teams, one of my favorite things has always been when new hires come on board, we would one-on-one pair them up with somebody who would basically be their kind of new employee. So yeah, they get the formal training, but it was also like, no, we're just going to pair you to a human being in the company who's kind of be your advisor for as you get ramped up. So
oh, that's cool.
you're not just plugged in and left into the void of, oh, how do I interact with these couple hundred people that I don't know, right? Which is very daunting, right? It's like a lot of people don't make that transition. So yeah, no, just again comes back to empathy. Empathy
That's
and
the key.
humanity of like let's treat these people like human beings and give them a good experience.
Very good, very good. I feel like we can talk forever, but unfortunately our time is limited. If somebody wanted to get in contact with you for more information about your company, or to continue the conversation about emotions and AI, how can they find you online?
Ah, So a couple things. So direct email is just victor@emovid.com. And I literally still respond to all of that, Emovid. But they can go to Emovid URL, www.emovid.com. And I also have, if you do a search on Victor Cho, CEO, you'll see my website come up. Now, my website has a ton of free content that I've built over the years, frameworks for leadership. There's a free course to help you build skills. So there's just a ton of assets that are available there. So go check that out.
Cool. And make it easier, I'll drop a note in the podcast description. So as you listen to this or watch the video, just go to the podcast description. That information is there for you. Victor Cho of Emovid, thank you so much, sir. I really appreciate you being on the Jim Stroud podcast.
No, Jim, it's been such a pleasure. And one other thought, if it's relevant, is one thing we do at Emovid is in kind of this vein of being a citizen. What we've built is amazing for anyone who needs to connect with real people and network. So and maybe I'll send you a link, but we have a free version of our product. As long as you're in an active job search, you can basically use Emovid, and it'll really help you build those connections and tunnel into companies and network, which is one of the most critical ways. If anyone's looking for a job, or if there are people listening who have laid people off, like giving them this access to this resource will really help them. So it's just one thing we do to try to help the world.
Very cool. And I appreciate that. And that'll also be in the podcast description for those listening and watching now as well. Thank you again, sir. I do appreciate you. You have a fantastic day.
Jim, that's been such a treat. Thank you so much for the time.
Well, my time is up. I thank you for yours. I'll see you again real soon right here with a brand new episode of the Jim Stroud Podcast. If you have any questions, comments, or concerns, feel free to reach out to me. I can be reached by email at jimstroud@jimstroud.com. And one last favor, if I may ask, please rate this podcast. 5 stars is preferred, but please comment with your honest opinion. I really appreciate that. All right? Okay, until next time, bye-bye.